yours.
I am extremely honored to have the opportunity to interview my next guest. I've been a guest on her show multiple times, and I had the courage to reach out and say, Dr. Jean Marie Farish, can I have the opportunity to interview you? I held my breath, and she graciously accepted my invitation. She is the host for Voice America Talk Radio, the empowerment show Love Light, Living in the Spirit of Love, which she'll share how her journey came to be, award-winning best-selling author, educator, life care coach, and founder and CEO of Dr. Jean Marie Farish Center for Conscious Living, LLC, and Life Care Wellness. Pep for Angels Inc. to enrich lives and serve our community with emphasis on children who are hospitalized. This woman is truly just a global phenomenon in my eyes, and I wanted to introduce her and ask her just a little bit about how this even came to be that you became the host for Voice America, and what message do you have that we, in the midst of chaos, can just access a little love and light when we feel, enveloped in darkness? How do we even do that? But thank you so much.
Well, thank you, Karen. It is a delight to be joining with you today, and you have been such a charm and an inspiration on my Voice America World Talk Radio empowerment show, Love Light. And you were asking about how my journey began as a Voice America World Talk Radio empowerment show for Love Light. And it came, Karen, I must say that I trust, and I believe in divine timing. And I trust the divine guidance that all things work together for good, and we're inspired to do things at a certain point in our lives. And for me, this was just an amazing opportunity to get a call from the Voice America producer with an invitation for me to host a show. And I was just thrilled, even though I had never done it, but it's like, okay, maybe this is a new chapter. And it came at a time right before COVID. It's like I was being prepared to have guests like you and other guests from around the world to join in and help people around the world, especially during these challenging times where the light was really going out.
It was.
So through divine inspiration, I named my show Love Light, with the theme Living in the Spirit of Love, and to help people cultivate a lifestyle of love in our daily lives. Because Karen, I really believe that love is the answer to all of our problems. So my show is really centered on inspiring and empowering messages to help people live in the spirit of love, and with guests like you and others around the world, share empowering messages to help listeners in all areas of their lives. So it is a blessing, and I am grateful to have been given that opportunity. I had to submit a proposal, and the team was enthused about it, and they're like, okay, we're on, we'll see you in January. I'm like, what?
So it just landed in your lap.
It landed in my lap, but I said, I have to trust and believe in my divine destiny and divine timing, and that all will be presented for me to do what I need to do. And true enough, here we are going into our third year, and I am just amazed at this new journey in my life, this new chapter to be an authentic messenger and spread the message of love.
When it's global, I mean, yeah. How do you find your guests?
Wow, my guests, well, actually through my writing, through my awards that I've won, connecting with other authors, and also media specialists contact me and ask me if their people can be on my show. So they tune in and they say, I think this is a good fit for your show. So a lot of the media specialists, a lot of high-powered people, they contact me to say, we want this person to be on your show. So I just pray for the right people, the right situations. And Karen, with that, people just come. It's like the field.
An effortless journey. Yeah.
They come. Like you. I mean, here, you were here, you were available. So I just trust that.
Wow. And so, what's your advice in finding the love light within our lives when we are experiencing either chaos or just a dark phase in our life? What
Yeah,
suggestions do you have?
that's a great question, Karen, because I think it's time for all of us to create a new love story.
Oh,
We've learned some things about ourselves that's not the truth of who we really are. Our faulty beliefs, societal standards of what's considered successful and what's considered to be standards for happiness, they're illusions and not the truth of who we really are. Many are engrossed in feeling lack of self-love and feeling unworthy and not good enough. And it's all because of the stories and the beliefs and our life experiences that keep us from shining that love light that's within. So our goal and our mission, as with you on my show, is to help people shine that light and to realize that love is the answer to all of our problems. How we feel about ourselves, Karen, affects us in all areas of our lives: personal, social, romance, finance, business, in every aspect of our lives. And if loving to love ourselves fully and completely is something that we all have to do. For me, even in my writing, my books, Living in the Spirit of Love, the Love Mastery Devotion Journal, I practice what I teach because, Karen, I teach what I needed to learn. There was a time when, even after reaching milestones in my life, educational milestones, career milestones, I still felt like something was missing and I felt unfulfilled. And it had a lot to do with my feelings of being unworthy. So I had a transformational life experience where I had an epiphany that it was all about love. So as a result of that, it's like it laid the path for me to really spread the message of love. Love is the answer. We have to love ourselves. Now, what I do, Karen, I adopted the holistic model of love from Henry Drummond's analysis of love that includes 9 ingredients. And those ingredients are patience, kindness, generosity, humility, courtesy, unselfishness, good temper, guilelessness, and sincerity. So we have to do those things for ourselves. We have to keep our cups filled with our own love. As Buddha said, you, as much as anyone, deserve your own love. So as I learned to love myself fully and completely through practicing this recipe of love in my daily life, as I learned to care for myself, take care of myself, and that's feeding myself intellectually, spiritually, physically, emotionally, it is a daily, ongoing experience. I have to monitor my thoughts, my feelings, my actions. When I'm off track, I know when I'm off track. It's like I have to come back home to myself. So this is what I teach. I teach it in my classes. I have tools in my books to show people the way. I teach a class called Living in the Spirit of Love. And the students in my class have told me, well, gosh, this is, I can love my children, I love my husband, but when you're telling me to do this for myself, I can't. And so they said, gosh, I never thought about myself. Do you understand, Karen?
Oh, definitely. I didn't even realize in the last show that you had me on that inner child, it is learning how to heal yourself.
Yes, yes,
And many times we are
yes,
so caught up in I have to love my children, my significant other.
yes,
If you're a teacher, your students, if you're working, your peers, your authority figures, and we lack even the knowledge and the awareness that it is
yes,
so important. Like you said, when you even mention the word self-love, I think some people cringe or they don't
you do.
realize the importance. And it's just uncomfortable. Why are we uncomfortable with loving ourselves? Why do you think that is?
Well, I think again, it goes back to childhood issues. It goes back to failed relationships. It
Mm.
goes back to what we're taught. You're not good enough. You're not worthy. And after a while, we believe it and we live it out. And for some reason, it's like this, we're unconsciously motivated to be unworthy and not good enough. And we keep striving for more or to have more. But it's like at the end of the day, I'm still not feeling it. So what I tell my students in my class, what I talk about in my books, is like, you have this radiant diamond within. And I call it like the diamond of love that's always shining. Now, what happens, Karen, is that through all of these stories and faulty beliefs and messages that we've been given from childhood onward, the diamond becomes covered, even though it's still shining, right?
Yeah.
So our goal is to, mine it, uncover it, and let that light shine from within. And as we radiate the love light within, it radiates outward. And one thing that you mentioned that I have to really say is that we cannot fully love others if we don't love ourselves. So you thinking you're loving your kids and you think you're loving your husband, but if you're not loving yourself, you really don't know what it's about. So I teach people how to come home to yourself first, and it's not selfish. Many people think, well, that's selfish, isn't it? Isn't that selfish if I put attention on myself? Because we're trained that way. Give to others and you be last on your list. And some people really brag about it. I did this for my husband. I did this for my children. And I'm wore out.
Yes.
So I stress, we have to give from a full cup, and you are the only person who can give that to yourself.
I love that analogy about the diamond. I think a lot of, especially if you're a mother or a caregiver, you do believe that you don't have time for self-care because your entire being, your entire purpose is to take care of, like an ailing parent or your children. And then you start, I notice it's like resentment builds, or you just feel empty. And it's because of what you said. You don't even realize that there is a radiant diamond within you.
I love what you said, Karen, because, being a caretaker, caregiver is like you feel this responsibility. And then at the end of the day, when you're worn out, you are resentful. So you begin giving out of resentment. And you know what I mean?
Yes, definitely.
I'm just saying it because your cup is not full.
When it becomes out of obligation, right? It's like an obligation.
Even though we have good intentions, right?
Yeah.
And I'm not downing that, but it's like we have good intentions, but if you don't keep your cup full, if you don't love yourself, if you don't consider yourself worthy, you really can't give fully to others. So I know this from my own experience through trying to embody and cultivate love in my daily life. I know when I am getting to that point and I catch myself. It's like, okay, do some self-inquiry. And I do journaling. All right, what's happening with you? Why are you thinking this way? Why are you feeling this way? Perhaps I had an interaction, right? And I'm about to go down the rabbit hole, right?
I've been through that rabbit hole.
And I'm like,
how do you get yourself to be aware, though? Because sometimes you're already in that whirlwind and you go down, 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 like you said.
What happens, Karen, I think we have to stay in full awareness and we have to do self-inquiry. See, I question myself. Well, I know by practicing it, it becomes more of a natural state, which is in my book, I talk about love, our natural state of being. And if we get back to that natural state, it's like, I know immediately when I'm off. I don't go completely down the rabbit hole. It's like, wait a minute, what's happening with you? You're off. All right, you need to take a break, go out in nature, ask yourself some questions. What kind of interaction was this? Was it really you or was it the other person? Because sometimes we blame ourselves for the other person. And I said, well, I didn't do any harm. Everything was positive. It must be about something that was going on with that person. So I can't take things personally. I have to really focus on myself and how I'm relating to me as well as other people. And
that's the key.
Yes, it is. It is. And using those 9 ingredients. For example, kindness. Am I being kind to myself? Am I being kind and patient with myself. If I'm being kind and patient with myself, what does that mean? In my book, I talk about each ingredient. What does each ingredient mean? And I know how I need to bring myself back to it. And then the more I learn about kindness for myself and being patient with myself, the more I can be patient with you and others, the more I can be kind to you and others. I can't be kind to others and not kind to myself. Does that make sense?
Oh, totally. And you know what I just realized? If we did practice that awareness and self-inquiry, I didn't realize
Yes,
because if you don't practice self-inquiry, you will fall
yes,
so deep into that rabbit hole that you start believing the illusion of, like you justify your anger or your whatever negative feeling, right?
very important point, because a lot of people don't ask questions for themselves. They'll question, why did that person do that to me? They go outside of themselves, right?
Yes, yes.
Or they'll blame someone else or whatever. But Stella Terrell Mann said, an unexamined life is not worth living.
Ooh, that's a
And
powerful quote.
she wrote about love a lot. What does that mean to you? An unexamined life is not worth living. That's like we're walking around life with blinders on.
Yes.
Blaming, feeling bad, and I have to I take the time and I say, hey, look, what's happening with you? And I have a spiritual friend. I call up and I'm like, look, I'm a little bit off track.
Yeah.
Let me share, some things, because I don't like how I feel. That's the litmus test for me. I know instantly.
Wow.
I
That
don't
is a
like how.
powerful question though, because it does give you immediate, like strong feedback. Oh, you are not experiencing love light, then you are not on the right path that
Exactly.
you're supposed to be on because you should be not feeling, right? Not feeling anger or resentment or just sometimes it's chaos, right? It's an emotional chaos.
Well, I want to say that we have a variety of emotions and feelings, and we have to honor those. We're
Mm-hmm,
not
mm-hmm.
saying that you shouldn't feel bad, you shouldn't feel sad. If
Right.
I'm feeling sad, I just ask myself questions. Why are you feeling this way? So I honor all of my feelings because it helps me experience the wholeness of who I am. I have to be sad to experience joy. I have to. So we have to honor our feelings, but get down to the basics of why am I feeling this way? What,
Wow.
maybe something happened. Let me, explore that, to move back into where I want to be. Do you understand?
That's a really good question, what you just said, like where, just explore, because I think many of us want to avoid
Yeah,
any negative feelings. We don't
yeah,
want to be sad. We don't, so we just try to, someone just said you have to go through it. You can't escape it.
exactly.
But I love your self-inquiry, just that where is this coming from?
Yes,
Because
yes,
oftentimes it is not, we take it personally.
yes. Just like you had shared earlier about the anniversary of your mom's death. And
Yes,
I,
today.
yeah, I do, acknowledge that. Even something like that can trigger, feelings, or, anything can be triggered. A person that reminds us of, maybe I had an encounter with someone who brought up some old feelings, and I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, I thought I had resolved that. Maybe I didn't. Let me go back and journal on that. Maybe I'm not done with that. Maybe I'm not through with that. Right?
That's enlightening because then you're more self-compassionate toward, instead of
Yes.
saying, why was I not healed? It's been 17 years, or why didn't I let that go? And then once you have that self-criticism, can
Yeah,
healing truly take place?
exactly. So we have to refrain from self-criticism and self-judgment, and be gentle. I have this thing, be gentle with yourself, be compassionate, be accepting of yourself, right? Because we're doing the best that we can. We have to learn and grow. And as Buddha said, through our lives, we have to end up unlearning.
Oh my gosh, I'm
Unlearning.
learning that's the number one lesson I'm realizing with even the little ones, right? They have to unlearn that mistakes are like they're naughty if they make mistakes.
Right. Or I'm not
Or
worthy. I'm not
I'm
good
not
enough.
worthy is a big one because whenever
Right.
they do make a mistake, I find they get really upset. So I
Yes.
say something like, "Did anyone tell you that mistakes were bad?" And like, "Of course they're bad." And then when you mention that word unlearning,
Yes.
even when you're little, so
Yes.
can you imagine when we become older, there's so much more to unlearn.
Can you imagine as we move through the chapters of our lives and we get to that point and we're like, by the time we reach an adult, we're like washed out.
Yeah.
I
Well,
think,
someone said the older you get, the less you know, right? And you tell that to a little one, wait a minute, I thought you get more wiser the older you get.
yes, yes. So for me, Karen, I had to unlearn a lot of things that I believed about myself that were not true, or even the standards of the societal standards of success and happiness that was more external. If you get
Mm,
this, you'll be happy. If you get your education, you'll be happy. If you get the car, and I'm like, wait a minute, I got all of that,
yeah.
but something's
What
missing.
happened?
Yeah, and so I was just going outside of myself for fulfillment, satisfaction, but it wasn't happening. So when I learned that it's all within, nobody can give it to me like me, right?
Ooh, another
I
good
have
quote.
I have to love. And Karen, what happens is that you begin to reflect that, and the people that surface in your life are amazing. It's like, wow, when you're vibrating through love and light, you manifest and attract more love and light. And see, that's the litmus test as well. If I start attracting things that I'm like, wait a minute, what's happening? The self-inquiry, what's happening? Or some things come as a test.
Yes.
Did you learn your lesson? Let's test and see, right?
Right. Well, look at what your testimonial on even the Love Light Voice America journey, just having it pop up out of nowhere.
I mean,
You
how did you
were,
get my number? How did you
yeah,
call me? How did you know
exactly.
about me? Right? And I
It
said,
is. It's truly a
divine,
miracle.
yes, divine destiny, divine timing. And I said, well, and I always ask and pray to the angels and, my higher power and source, bring in all that is right and good for me in the name of love. And I try to stay anchored in love. And so whatever comes, even it's like a show that I had never done, it's like, okay, I will be given everything that I need. I
Oh, I
trust.
love that.
I
I will
trust.
be given everything that I need because it is within you. Don't you think once you think
Yes.
that it has to be external, then you don't have that faith and hope because
Yes.
you wonder like, how
Am
am I
I
going to
going to
get
be
it?
able to do this? Am I
Yes.
going to be successful? How will I get the guests? What, and initially I'm like, okay, what is this all about? And then it's
Well,
like,
because it's
okay,
new.
settle down, settle down. If this was given to you, you will have all that you need. And I love the show. I love the guests. And I learned so much from my guests like you who join me from around the world and with listeners around the world who tune in live and on demand to hear all of these empowering messages. So Karen, we talk about all kinds of topics for everyone, all kinds of situations. And I love it because I grow and learn from every guest on my show.
Yeah, that's the most powerful thing of all because not only are your guests learning from you, but you as the host learn as well. So
Yes.
then
So
you
isn't
even
that a
you're
blessing?
a huge blessing. I can see the brightness of your diamond. You are shining.
And I can see yours too, because really this is what we're about, shining the love light around the world, bringing people out of darkness into the light, which means that I have a responsibility, just like you, Karen. I have a responsibility to keep my light shining.
Wow.
I have to be an authentic messenger. I'm not an imposter getting out there saying one thing and doing something else. So I have to live in the spirit of love, embody, strengthen my practice every day, be aware when I'm out of love, move back into love, And it feels so good. That's the litmus test. It's the litmus test. I don't yearn or hanker or for anything or looking for things outside of myself, because spirit brings everything to me.
That's so calming. This sounds like it could be just a meditation in itself, because just that quote that you said, that it is within you and that you don't have to seek outside, because
Yeah.
that's what gives us stress and anxiety, being like you don't feel like you're in control. But once you realize what you said, that you are
Yes.
meant to shine, because that's self-worth. And if
Yes.
you lack that, then you lack love. If you lack love, then you'll lack the light. And it's all, I mean, it's so empowering to hear you say that it can be as simple as loving yourself. It's as simple,
It's
but then,
simple.
yeah, it's so simple. But then
It's
when you say,
complicated.
well, yeah, because you have to unlearn. I mean, when you're taught, the big thing is you're selfish, right? The biggest thing is, how dare you treat yourself to a massage
Yes,
or
yes,
wait, what
yes,
about your children? You left
yes,
them at home?
yes, yes. You mean you took a day out for yourself? Bad mom here, right? So what happens? You start feeling guilty.
Yes.
And then you get back into that pattern. But, you know, Karen, my philosophy is, and this has worked very well for me, I teach people how to treat me.
Oh my gosh.
I teach people and show
I've
them.
read that. So if you are allowing, because it's wasn't it like we give Eleanor Roosevelt, you give others permission to
Yeah,
treat you the way that you are treated, which
yeah,
can be, if you are that's kind of a harsh thing when you are abused or when you are this and that, but it's so as an adult though, right? Setting
well,
boundaries.
we grow through it, right?
We
Because as
do.
a kid, you don't
You
know.
don't know.
You
You
don't
don't
have the
know.
tools, right? Here I am at this age of my life, finally learning what love really is. I mean, it took me a lifetime, and I'm still in the state of becoming. I have not yet arrived. As Maslow said, we are all in a state of becoming. So each day we don't know what's around the next corner. Something happens that can take us down. And I have to sit with that and feel my emotions and be compassionate with myself and be accepting of myself. But one point we must realize is that love and worthiness is our divine birthright. It is
Wow,
our
that is life
divine
changing.
birthright. It is
That is,
our
yes.
It's our divine birthright. And if you believe anything else, that's a lie. That's an illusion. That's not the truth of who you really are. So, Karen, we have accepted the truth of things that are not, we've accepted things that are not the truth of who we really are. Right. And we have to find our way back home to ourselves.
Wow. Thank you so much. I think, just anyone watching this and questioning their self-worth or wondering if there is even the slightest glimmer of hope. I mean, what you said, when it's your divine birthright, that's such a strong, powerful statement of truth. And knowing that if you don't feel worthy, then it is an illusion. I love how you said that. Anything that doesn't resonate, love, light, is not
Exactly. The truth.
true.
I love that. Very good analogy of the whole talk here today. I love that. Very pointed.
Wow. How did you, just last question, how did you become who you are? Because you are.
Well, I can truly say that I went through my own dark night of the soul. After I reached certain milestones, and of course, I've been in higher education for 28 years as a professor and administrator. A rehab counselor practitioner, for over a decade. And, but what really changed my life when I hit that low point, that dark night of the soul, where things just weren't working, I surrendered. I said, God, please help me. I'm just at a point where I'm lost. I was losing weight. I couldn't eat. I couldn't sleep, and when I surrendered with humility, Spirit opened the door. I had an amazing experience and an opportunity to spend 6 months in Malaysia on a work assignment. I found peace and love, and that's when I um, received the message, the epiphany at the end of my journey. I said, Spirit, what was the real purpose of my journey? And it was like a quiet whisper said it was all about love. And everywhere people were showing me how to love, and I was volunteering with the children, the autistic children. I was, working with this team and visiting indigenous communities. I had peaceful meditational walks in this beautiful tropical environment. And it's like, it was then that whole transformational experience where I came home to myself. I wrote my first book. I collected journals while I was there. I wrote every night. I had about 6 journals. And when I got back home after my 6 months, I wrote my first book, The Long Journey Home, a memoir about my experience. And I was one of 35 global award winners of the 4th annual Transformational Authors Writing Contest. And
wow, congratulations.
And that's how my journey began, with writing, because after I won the award, doors started opening. I was on magazine covers, and and I say that with humility, because Spirit was just saying, you needed to learn about love, but you're not through yet. Your mission is to learn it, live it, share it, express it, and teach it. So I'm not doing this by accident.
Well, maybe darkness is the beginning of the people who are experiencing darkness, don't you think? Like you said, surrendering, trusting, and just accepting that there is that shining diamond within. I never realized that. I mean, that's such a great analogy, that it's covered in just, it's not able to shine. But if you believe that you have the power within to let that light shine, that alone, that analogy.
And shed those faulty beliefs.
Yes.
And, Karen, to create a new love story, which is what I help people do.
I love that. I love that.
Story, right? And it's not about romance.
Exactly. Well, I've been reading more about, that's the big thing, is creating like a love story and falling in love with yourself.
With yourself first,
Yes.
And not looking for love in all the wrong places, but first finding the love that's the diamond within, that is there to radiate the truth of who you really are. So my mission is to help people create a new love story in my classes, in my books, on my radio shows, and of course, with people like you who join me and guests from around the world. You're showing people how to shine their light. Parents, you work with parents, you work with children, teachers, you're helping them. We're all doing it in our own way, right? Yes. I'm doing it in my way, you're doing it in your way. And we have to join together to pull the world out of darkness and help others. But we have to keep ourselves up.
Yes. How do people find you?
They can find me, of course, my Love Light show. It's free to listen to every Friday. The shows are live and on demand. And also you can go to my website, www.jeanfarishjourney.com. And of course, I have another website, Marie Farish Center for Conscious Loving. But I do post a blog each week on the jeanfarishjourney.com website for a weekly love practice exercises. And I have my books there. I'm an avid writer for Savannah East. I've written probably over 20 articles. So you can go to my website and look at the articles and, read about, the message of love in different situations, from accepting yourself or feeling worthy or whatever. So I'd love for listeners to tune in, and I am so delighted that you had me on your show today.
Well, thank you so much. This has been so fun. It's been something that I've always wanted to ask you. I don't know why I waited 2 years to ask you.
Divine timing.
Divine timing. Thank you so much, Jean. It's been such an honor, and I look forward to September. I'll be returning back, and I really appreciate the opportunity to share. And thank you so much.
Thank you for all that you do to shine your light in the world.
Thank you, Jean. You have a great day, and I will keep in touch.
Okay. Namaste.
Okay. Take care. Bye-bye.